The Dow closed at the Masonic 33,000 again. This, with the Suez cockblocked, and Chinese aircraft over Taiwan will either result in a market crash, World War III, or both. The US stocks are extremely overvalued and overbought. And it looks like this is going to be a very tough year for most investors. There are lots of fraud and unscrupulous activities happening in Fed, Wall Street, and market makers that the retail investors are not privy to. The little guys lose all the time. The market is in the mega bubble. A heavy correction is imminent. The US stocks will collapse big time. The market is insanely overvalued and overbought. The valuations are absurd and impossible to justify. The US companies are trading at astronomical valuation multiples, P/E, P/S, P/CF, and P/B, and other multiples are 300 to 400% higher compared to pre-pandemic levels despite so much terrible news, collapsing economy, tanking corporate revenues, absurd valuations, record stock dilutions, a record high corporate and national debt, political polarization, intense international competition, limited real resources, ongoing and upcoming wars. This is the biggest bubble since 1929. Sell all US stocks in this mega bubble before the markets collapse by 90% from current insane levels. Major collapse is imminent. The 1929 crash looks similar. Printing money, stimulus, low interest. And everyone borrowing money to pump the market. The worst is yet to come. The US stocks will collapse below March 2020 lows very soon. Many chasers will burn in this stock bubble. Futures turned red after Jerome Powell says he'll one day remove stimulus. Proof that the markets are propped up by the government, not the companies within it. Major correction coming, no question about it. Our economy is in a mess and needs fake money to prop it up. Markets shot up 600 points with his press conference. But we all know what really caused it. Only Powell can make stocks and the dollar rise in unison. Free money Federal Reserve Friday. Step right up and buy stock of any bankrupt insolvent bailed out corporation at all-time highs, and get rich risk-free. It has often been said that the market does not like instability. We are seeing the markets rising because apparently, the market likes insanity. Despite tanking corporate revenues, absurd company valuations, collapsing economy, record corporate loss, record bankruptcies, record astronomical corporate and national debt, record stock dilutions, skyrocketing inflation, political polarization, upcoming and ongoing wars, limited real resources, intense competition, upcoming alternative international reserve currencies, the US stocks are going up parabolically every single day with no trading volume. It is obvious that the Fed is printing unlimited dollars to pump the US stock prices artificially to give away trillions of dollars in the form of capital gains. It is all about quick capital gains, nothing else. The US stock market is a fraudulent system, and its end is near. The US market will soon collapse big time. Sell all US stocks in this current mega bubble at these absurd valuations. The US stocks are insanely overvalued and overbought. This is reaching to my bones. They will make it fall until we sell, then they will take it all for themselves and raise it up. They are there everywhere to suck money out of the 99%. More like criminal collusion and abuse of their algorithm advantage. They complain that 6 trillion is sitting on the sides. You expect people to leap into this forgery of a market system. If you know anyone at brokerage houses or Wall Street itself, you know that they thrive on what they very openly call the dumb money. That's what they call the retail investor, trader. In many instances, they're correct. It's more ignorant than dumb, but in their circle, it's one and the same. Welcome back to the Atlantis Report. You are here for your daily dose of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Please take a second to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to also hit the notification bell. Another 730,000 Americans have filed for new unemployment claims. Nice. More free money will be distributed, and another 2 decades of paying extremely high taxes to pay the government back. Now, the next 2 generations will suffer as well. No more money for the middle class. The poor get free money, and the rich become richer. 'The middle class' does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the slavery, and that's about 90% of us. The middle class does all the The tax increases are coming later this year. Stagnation would be nice compared to what's really coming. Real interest rates are so bad, money's so cheap, and it's so abundant that it changes a lot of financial assets, and it causes those financial asset prices to rise. And when they rise, future expected returns go down to start to approach those of bonds. And the risk-free return, and so that's what we've gone through. When the pulse of the economy goes down, then the policymakers like doctors, rush to the patient and inject it with a whole lot of stimulation, and so what they did is, they wrote out a bunch of checks, and they're writing out a lot of checks which are about 5 to 7 times the size of the whole economy. 50% of stimulus money is being spent online at Amazon, where 58% of the top 100,000 sellers live in communist China. And another portion of the stimulus money is being spent on illegal drugs benefiting drug lords. So how can this stimulus money really help our nation when it is helping our enemies even more? Like fools, we had given the business to China for decades, which resulted in them growing a Godzilla military. The US government is printing unlimited dollars, but China, Russia, Turkey, and many Asian countries are set to ditch the US dollar as international reserve currency. US dollar era is coming to the end. Unlimited US dollar printing era is coming to the end. The US stock bubble will collapse big time. Oil price bubble will collapse big time very soon. The liquidity risk of the United States government is increasing continuously. The growth in the rate will not be linked to inflation but instead to the risk of the government and their ability to service debt. They'll increase taxation, which will subdue growth further, ultimately reducing revenues, and like Detroit and many other large cities, they won't realize that by increasing taxes it actually decreases net revenue because it suppresses growth. The only solution is deep spending cuts on all fronts, but especially the entitlements which consume the lion's share of the expenditures. Entitlements need to be quartered or contracted further than that to create sustainability. They just flooded the economy with over $4 trillion, which is almost 20% more debt, aka a 20% dilution. Stocks' current valuations only reflect cheap money, low rates, and diluted currency. The market is 150% up from March 2020 lows. That is not backed by fundamentals, reality, or economy. Nasdaq Composite is up by 150% in no time for no reason. The majority of Nasdaq stocks are trading at astronomical absurd multiples. These absurd valuations soon will not find a buyer. Even if the US government prints $1 trillion per day. A market cannot go up forever based solely on the government funding it. Once the novice millennials lose all their money in the stock market, they will finally go back to work in real jobs, and the market will settle down from the current free for all. Fed is propping up this massive asset bubble that they created by money printing and rigging interest rates. P/E multiples are 400 to 500% higher compared to the average of the last 10 years. The stock prices went up purely on speculations, while fundamentals are getting deteriorated. The market is in a massive bubble. Price means nothing as this transition takes place in the markets. There is a massive stock bubble. The government is printing unlimited dollars to pump this stock bubble, but the game is about to end. It's all extremely overvalued. Volume speaks volumes, and the volume is yelling, "We're headed down, 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 down." Mark those words, people. I have resigned myself to the fact that the United States is on a path to insolvency, and we will be in worse shape than Venezuela or Zimbabwe in the next 10 years. Zimbabwe shut its stock market down in hyperinflation. Can't trade. Venezuela lopped 3 zeros off share prices before lopping off 4 zeros to the currency it was denominated in. Stocks don't work in hyperinflation and resets. Taters, modders, and chickens? You have time to plan, don't squander the opportunity. Pretty soon, we all will be living on welfare. But some people will be assembling weapons and semiconductors. And yes, Tesla factory in Fremont. The Federal Reserve now owns 1/2 of the assets inside the US. Over 40% of the US money supply has been printed in the past year. You will own nothing and take your meds or else. We are halfway there in this everything bubble. Many red flags show we have exceeded the dot-com and real estate bubble levels. Think about how many people's retirements are tied up in tech stocks right now. Do these money managers really want to keep playing these games for a long time? It really questions their ethics, trying to shake out retail investors for this long. I am biased that the stock market is worth 1,200 or so, but in reality, if rates stay at zero for 10 more years, who knows how high it could go. I think that we will see a currency crisis on a global scale. We are currently living through a global currency reset that includes gold, silver, and cryptos. Everything else paper-based is a complete illusion. At this point, it is 100% gambling. Longs gambling that Fed will elevate this market, shorts gambling the market will come back to reality. It's such a silly game, but it also affects our livelihood. Time to invest spare fiat paper in precious metals miners and physical silver. Gold and silver in physical form will be my biggest investments going forward. It's clear where this is all heading. Stocks tend to keep up with inflation until they can't. Crypto is just more fiat. Real estate is super risky. Bonds have negative yields due to inflation. Nowhere else to go. To make absolutely certain that the Fed becomes the lender and buyer of last resort, a multi-decade plan, a deliberate act, budgets are pricing in an epic debt expansion. Nothing could make the Federal Reserve happier. The stock market is in a sucker's rally now, as the smart money already got out and is buying gold. I suspect a major crash this year, of 90% or more, primarily caused by worthless currencies but in no small measure by the demise of Chinese manufacturing. I've been anticipating a stock market crash. Now, we're in 2021, and the Fed is throwing everything at it, including the kitchen sink, to prop it up. I have come to the conclusion that they will do absolutely anything to prevent this from happening. Federal Reserve monetary policies should be constant, gradual, and uniform. Not free and easy money for all, then collapse. It leads to economic ruin every time. The stock market has no reason to be at record levels. But free money from the Federal Reserve has created these record highs, not actual economic conditions. All fake stuff eventually disappears. And in my opinion, in 2022 at most, it will. And when it does collapse, it will be of the greatest magnitude in history. The 2008-2009 practice run will look like child's play. The Fed is doing everything possible to keep it going. Working miracles. Nobody here seems to have a clue. The Fed has pumped in trillions of dollars since September in the repo market. All in, boys. Stocks only go up. Either you join the Fed and their crony capitalism or get crushed by the inflation. This is going to end badly. The stock market literally now is like a game of musical chairs. It's like there are 10 people in the market and only 5 exits. Good luck.